Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah.
How's it sound on your end?
Veggie Jorish.
All right, give me a sec, man. Let me come back.
10 hours later, just take this opportunity to pour my cup of coffee. Piping hot cup of coffee. This is the ASMR portion of the Matthew and Rizzle show. Coming to you live, March 13th, 9:09 a.m. Pacific. Good vibe.
Check. Am I in the veggie drawer?
Kind of, sort of, but definitely better than before.
Dude, let me doesn't work. We'll just go take me to. Sometimes this is how it goes.
Yeah, it sounds like to this to the
God.
for everyone at home listening in. I know we're gonna edit this out,
No, we're not.
but this is exactly how we prepare for the whip. Audio problem torture chamber.
Like this. Dude, I'm excited for the whip this week. I don't know if you had anything like top of mind you wanted to kick this off with. I got a lot of shit cooking on the back end, and trying to navigate a bunch of people who are just like really fucking demoralized about the market right now. And so that's where I'm at, man. What have you been up to?
Just fucking railing on the new release from Zora. The new post where Zora coin, I guess you can say, from the founder.
Oh yeah, you explain to me this horse shit. That's probably like a great what is the horse shit, dude?
So to make things crystal clear, like I'm excited about Zora coin. I think it's unlocking kind of interesting potentials. But for content creators that are in like a non-digital art category, like that's where I think there's some really interesting potential applications with Zora coin. So just want to make that crystal clear. I'm a fan of it. What I'm not so much of a fan of is pushing their new product, the Zora coin, which takes any of the posts that people make to the Zora network, which is like an Instagram-y-esque product at this point, takes every single post and turns each post into 1 billion supply token, right? So you make post one is the title of the ticker of the coin, and there's a billion token supply, right? That's what the product is. So for artists that are uploading art, the art image is associated with the token smart contract itself. Like the token URI points to the image itself, sort of like an NFT, almost exactly like that. But then you have a billion tokens there. The intent there is to have always liquid or always available supply if there's any prospective collectors that want to jump in, and there'll be a market price associated with that. It's like super heady crypto theory, whatever. Fast forward to yesterday, and Jacob, JS_Horn, hyperstructure fame, amongst other things, like just very cool thinker and builder in the space. Throw the flowers over that way. Took one of their older posts from Zora pre-recent update. So a post of a majestic horse running in a mountain field with a mountain in the background that he had originally minted as an NFT last year, last March actually, or last April, sorry. And there are like 3,800 some odd mints of that NFT. He took the same exact image and minted it again as 1 billion tokens yesterday. and I was like, because again, like they're pushing this towards digital artists. So I'm like hypersensitive to the digital art perspective with this approach. And
Right.
we talked about liquidity layer last week by Ripe and all that, and that's a cool project. But again, like Spidey senses, like finely tuned, seeing the same exact, like not a variant, not it's the same image with a border to distinguish it from the NFT, but the same exact image minted as 1 billion tokens. I'm like, he did this on purpose, probably, whatever. But I just wanted to like put the facts out there because when leaders of projects and products and like just leaders in the space generally do things, like other people are watching, obviously, and a lot of people will follow on because Jacob did it or something like that.
Right.
It's not a good or bad thing. It's just like sort of how things work. So I just wanted to lay it out. Like what happened last year, the fact that there was a mint cost with that original Majestic horse NFT, right? It was like 17 cents or 11 higher at the time. So it wasn't a freebie. It was cheap. It wasn't a freebie. And there's people on secondary that came in and like most recently, some collector bought 4 of those Majestic horse copies for like $666. So like there was a secondary there. Yeah. But anyway, yesterday the mint happened. 1 billion tokens were created. Jacob airdropped 50% of the supply, or 500 million of those horse tokens across the unique NFT holders. So there were about like 660-ish holders at the time of the airdrop. And the airdrop was distributed pro rata based on the number of copies that those collectors held. For folks that had just one of those Majestic horse NFTs, they received like 133,000 horse tokens. And at the time of the airdrop, they got it out real early. That amounted to about let's call it $10 in market value. If they sold off all the coins, it's $10. So they spent 17 cents, $10 back in value. It's a thing. And then, of course, like as tokens tend to do, that skyrocketed, right? So I think it went up to like a quarter of a penny at peak around there. So for folks that had got that airdrop, they were looking like, where is it at now? So we're at like roughly $40 for folks that got that airdrop. Some folks at peak, they got it. It would be like a $2,000 airdrop at peak. Let's call it that. Yeah. Some folks got like 6-figure airdrops when the token peaked, but then like the price relatively collapsed from peak. It's still up from that initial like airdrop price or whatever, but it's an interesting state of affairs. It is cool that the original minters made bank, especially if they sold early, right?
Sure.
And that's cool. And that was probably the intent. So Jacob launches this, it will generate a lot of volume, right? And it did. Like Jacob as the creator, like another important point to flag from that original NFT mint, he made like a little less than $1,000 from that NFT sale. But then since yesterday, when the horse token launched, yeah, like let's look at the up-to-date volumes. So it's like 3.5 million in volume since it dropped. Creator earnings just in pure ETH from the trading fees generated, a little over $10,000. And you can assume that he also got some of the native horse token back. So let's double that. It's like $20,000 from it. And who knows if they sold their 10% allocation. Every minter on Zora gets 10% of the supply. So like they could have made big bank. So those are the facts. I tried to lay it out as objectively as possible. I led in with my gut reaction, which I think like sort of what I've been saying.
Right.
It's a troubling precedent, right? Because other artists will see this and be like, let's copy what I released and put it out there. Like, no thought.
Right.
And that's the risk, in my personal opinion. But yeah, dude, go.
Well, so interestingly enough, man, this popped up on my radar on Warpcast, and I got a notification that the first one that I've seen of this type of notification, maybe I just haven't been paying enough attention, but it was like X number of people have been like trading horse token in the past hour or some shit like that. And I was like, well, that's like, first of all, like what the fuck is going on? And so like, well, that's interesting that like this is somehow a thing that got integrated into Warpcast's communication thing. I don't know if it's something I signed up for, native or whatever, but I thought that was like just sort of interesting in itself as like a sort of a barometer of like what people are paying attention to at the moment. But I guess like, and I saw your post, man, and I was trying to like make heads or tails out of like what the hell's going on here. And I still can't, to be honest with you, because I'm like, Is this basically like where we're at in the market now, where we're just like just fucking dumping tokens out there? Like this is a thing that like if I release a big run of tokens off of, like people will pay attention to it, and that is the point of what this is, and nothing beyond that? Or is there like a, you know, because I'm like, right, it's a weird precedent to set. It's sort of like like I don't know, ethically, like I don't know, ambiguous territory in terms of like, you know, minting artwork on the blockchain and everything. But I'm like, what is if there's like a tail end of this that is like a interesting experiment, or he's like, you know, driving towards something with this, or there's like some sort of like, you know, something on the back end versus like, hey, like we're all just dumping tokens now to make our bags because the market has sucked for so long. Like, is that what we're doing?
So the value prop that they keep highlighting, and it is a value prop, is that when anyone comes in, like a longer time horizon, let's call it like 2, 3, 10 years in the future, and they see the majestic course and they're like, I really want that. And if this were simply a NFT, that individual that wants that majestic course, assuming there's no listing, they would need to make an offer. There would be some friction between their want and desire to collect that digital asset and being able to collect it. That's a bug, not a feature to them. So they said, well, if we have 1 billion tokens and a market price, then folks will be able to, just like they can swap between ETH and like a stable, or ETH and any other like token out in the ecosystem. They can go to Uniswap and they could buy a fraction of a token, a token associated with that majestic course collection, which is potentially, in theory, always potentially generating these trading fees, aka creator fees, that would flow back to the creator. Which is, it's a thing. It's a thing that is like, I don't know, man.
I mean,
like,
it is, dude.
again,
It's fucking dumb, right? This is like the shit that you just say so you can just dump a coin on everybody, right? You got to say something.
Again, I'm thinking about it from the perspective of digital art, and it's like, yeah, maybe you have. Again, we were talking about this last week with specifically about Ripe, and that's a cool project. They sort of lean into like the technical underpinnings of this in an artful way. Again, that the token market for that is down dramatically, and they haven't gotten that many creator fees relative to the attention and all that stuff. And like it was before Jacob, like it was the only token that was released as a Zora coin that I've been paying attention to. Jacob comes in, makes way more money with a majestic course, and it's like, hey, everyone can do this. But it's like there's already a proof point before you, and it didn't really work out for that particular artist. We're gonna get a bunch of other artists come in here. Maybe some of them will take off initially, but then like we keep seeing the same dynamic with these same sorts of token launches, where maybe there's a viral inflection point, and then it just drops, and then like you lose holders. And then people are like, can you do something about the token price? And if you're an artist and you just want to like release work that people collect, and then all of a sudden people are like, yo, make the fucking token go up, dude. Like,
right,
again,
dude.
Whether that's a joke or not, like that's stress. Like, what should the artists do there with that? Like, do they now need to always be thinking about weird tokenomics for their art, as opposed to trying to find the collectors that love the art itself more than anything? Like, again, like, just thinking through strictly from an art lens, like it just strikes me as incredibly troubling, and not a scalable solution. It's a tool in the toolbox, to be sure, for artists. And like the discussion that's generated from like just sharing the facts have highlighted some potential ways artists can kind of like think through this and maybe make use of it in interesting ways. But again, it's not like in every time you release something, you're going to make 1 billion tokens. It just, it makes no sense with that framing, that strict framing.
Right. No, it's a fucking stupid mentality. And I'm not, dude, I'm not like, I'm talking about the mentality of the space, like what you described right now, like people just sort of dropping these things that have an arc when they hit the hype, and then it's, it bottoms out and gone. And I'm not one to be above like artists coming up with some creative tokenomic way to, make their own bag out here, because it's fucking tough. And I think a lot of people are trying to, a lot of people are building out in the open, and not, I don't know the ins and outs on how this whole horse thing was like framed or whatever, but it seems like pretty transparent, like what the fuck was going on. And anyone who's like been around sort of can, grok the deal of it and everything. But I'm like, dude, this just has like flashbacks of like, right back in 2021, where it just animal PFPs are just being fucking cranked out, right? And they're unsustainable. They have an arc. They catch their hype cycle. They bottom out, and then everyone's like, "Oh, when are the devs going to do something? Where'd the community go?" Like all this shit that is just like literally repeating itself now. Except we don't have fucking animal JPEGs, like, cycling through the feed every day. And I can't even believe I'm like reminiscing about that shit. But I'm like, dude, at least if the market's bottoming out, I got to laugh at all the fucking iguanas who got rugged, yesterday, that, and all their pictures are like, whatever, man. But it's just like the exact same shit that we were doing, during the last cycle, except I don't know, it feels like shallower and like, I don't know, just grimier and more PvP. And I don't know, man. I miss like, if I'm gonna get rugged, man, I want to like have a super Yeti to laugh at,
I mean, to be fair, like the another part of the innovation, quote unquote, you want to call it, with the Zora coins is that the image is tied with the token. Like it really treats the token smart contracts and then the token UI that's pointing to the media asset. Like,
who wants a fucking billion horses? No one wants a fucking billion horses. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I mean, unless it's gonna be used as
when you're looking at the chart. My point is, when you're looking at the chart and you're just seeing this massive red candle, at least right next to it, there's a thumbnail of the image associated with it. Right? So like the art is present.
This is the innovation we're stuck with right now. Like, fuck.
Yeah, and I was thinking through that yesterday, like, damn, I'm only looking at Deck Screener at this chart, like not the art, and then out of the corner of my eye, this small little thumbnail. I'm like, I'm actually like, is this the digital art gallery of the future? Yeah, I don't know. I just
do it, man. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
I mean, we've seen this like going all the way back to the fucking zoo parcel, the Bronx Zoo in CryptoVoxels, right? Like experimentations with like tokenizing assets and like, sort of fragmenting them and giving people like partial ownership and making them feel like they have some sort of skin in the game. And the
Shout
Bronx,
out Steve Klabanoff.
Hell yeah, dude. And the Bronx Zoo, in my opinion, was like one of the coolest, earliest like applications of like this concept. And you know who gives a fuck about the Bronx Zoo now? Us. Like that's fucking it, man. And like no one's gonna give a shit about these horses. And like, I feel like these are just all experiments that we've seen like ad nauseum at this point that are just sort of being rinsed and repeated to the new audience coming in until they get sick of them and we chase them out too. And then, we got another one, but at least the fucking Bronx Zoo is cool, man. The Bronx Zoo is cool because you actually like, well, I don't know, man. It's sort of, if you could like, smart contract your way through it, owned a piece of, the actual NFT. But like, this is like you barely have part of one of the animals that goes into the Bronx Zoo. Like that's where we're at. You got like a little tiny, you got like a billionth of a horse that belongs in the Bronx Zoo or some shit.
So yeah, people keep framing it like that, and it's potentially like another problematic point. Like,
yeah, we'll come correct, man.
Zoo, your token there, like you have a token, a fractional representation of ownership. And if you accumulate enough, I think Steve had set it up where you assume majority ownership or something like that. Like you assume control of the parcel NFT, which gives you that control. Like it has that utility baked into it. I'm not 1,000% accurate on the tokenomics that they had.
I don't think it really does anything. Maybe it does.
With that,
Steve is smart.
Yeah, honestly, like that was a precursor to Party DAO, where you like groups of friends could buy like JPEGs together, and they would sort of have this fractional ownership of the assets they purchased there. So like that was a very cool experiment that led to another very cool experiment, Bronx to Party DAO, if I have my timelines right.
Yep.
With the Zora coin, they're very explicit. Like it's not fractional ownership of the image at all. It's a fun thing. Like the disclaimer on the website is like, this is nothing. It's a loose representation. I think they say representation of the image or something like that. But like retail, they're saying, you know what? It feels so much better to own like 1% of the image. And I'm like, you don't own anything of the image. You own like there's tokens
That's worse.
tied to. They're from a minting token smart contract that has the image in the URI. Like if you got all 1 billion of these tokens or all the available supply, that doesn't get you anywhere closer to owning that majestic horse image at all. Like you're not getting anything. You know, it's and that is also not great because people come in, they're like, what the F am I even buying, dude? It's just a effing JPEG. And it's like, well, no, you got like a coin. It's like, well, what does that mean? Like I have like 1/1 billionth of the image. No, it's just a coin. And then people are like, well, what the F, bro? It makes us look foolish.
Right.
And again, this is when you're just viewing it in the light and perspective of art. I think with these Zora coins, I think it's the application that I was jazzed off of when I first saw this launch, and just like being over on the Purple app with like side tangent, there's been like an infusion of like a bunch of journalists that have been popping over there and starting to publish over there recently. And I was just thinking, damn, like some of these folks are very legit. Like the backgrounds are like proper, like credentialed journalists. And I was thinking, damn, if they form like a little collective, you know, they could create their own like on-chain cap table using 0x splits. And, you know, if they made their posts using Zora coin, like every article they put out there is a token, you know, maybe people there's a front end, people tip their articles. And on the back end, there's some like DeFi complication that no one needs to know about. That just converts that quote unquote tip into like a liquidity position or adding liquidity to that article's token market, which gives a little bit money back to the journalist, the original author. The tipper stands to earn some fees from trading if it does anything. But it's creating this net new thing where the on-chain cap table could control who publishes to a specific front end, right? And assuming all these journalists, because they already have their Farcaster wallet addresses, like their identity is tied to their Farcaster, tied to their Warpcast wallet, tied to this new front end that is publishing these new articles because of that tight, limited association. Like, is that a new media company? That's where I'm thinking the coin makes potentially more sense if leveraged like that. Like it's a net new, kind of cool in theory, a boon potentially for journalists who have been like down and out and been having like the worst past couple of decades out of any like media vertical I can really imagine in recent memory. So like that's where my head's at with that, but we could probably leave Zora coin there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you've identified a cool application for it, but that's probably not like and correct me if I'm wrong, man, but I'm assuming that that's not their like primary intention behind pushing this out, or not like a primary direction that they're trying to take this in, or again, correct me if I'm wrong.
No. This is totally just like an independent thought that it put out there into the ether. Like the journalists don't know what the hell's going on. But
no, it's a good idea, man. Like, dude, this is like the frustrating part. I'm like, right? I feel like actually, this in the past like few months, man, it sort of felt like as the market's gone down, it's sort of been like one of these times where we've been through these like a few times over the past like I don't know what if it's fucking decade basically now, where like, you know, the market bottoms out and sentiment bottoms out, and it's sort of, you know, the community sort of like circles the wagons, right? And there's sort of becomes this like unspoken and sometimes spoken thread where like, hey, if we're going to get this shit going in the right direction again, we've all got to sort of like work together. Like there's not a ton of us out here building on this tech. And, at the end of the day, even though there is some competition out here, we're all like kind of on the same team, and it's all it's all in all of our best interest to put out quality shit and to put out like experiments and stuff that like actually reflects positively on us as a whole. And obviously you can't safeguard yourselves from like fucking everything, but I'm like, dude, this horse shit like took up my entire timeline for like the entire day yesterday, and I'm like, dude, this does nothing. This does nothing for us, right? I'm like, I wish we had like Web3 Survivor and could just like, once a week just vote some motherfucker off the island who's just like, making a bunch of noise that is really like it's not it, man. It's not going to raise the price of ETH. It's not going to like get a bunch of attention on us beyond the same motherfuckers who are just speculating on meme coins and desperate to make something happen with their ETH, which just continues to go down. And no shame, man. I'm one of those people, but I don't know. We got to do better, man.
I mean, it's hilarious that you mentioned Crypto Survivor. We literally have that, like the third season of Crypto the Game, which is the Survivor-esque style game. Literally, folks are voted off the crypto island every week. That's a thing.
It's true, man. You're right. It just sort of happens by by nature of the space.
Yeah, like it's more focused on like solving like cryptographic puzzles. I guess I don't exactly know. I don't have time for it. It's sort of popular, I think. But like that exists. Like all that shit exists. It's just like I don't know. The horse got all the attention yesterday over Crypto the Game. But hopefully that changes or something.
Dude, it's fun to talk shit on it, man, but honestly it was kind of fun like figuring out what was going on with it yesterday. And I've released a bunch of fucking idiotic experiments, so again, this is like very, very tongue-in-cheek here, me talking shit on idiotic experiments. But dude, I've been the more I've been spending time on Warpcast lately, the more goofy little experiments that are interesting to me like keep popping up, and I keep like downloading new frames and everything that I'm tinkering around with, and I really, really like the sort of like micro. I don't know what you would call it, man. It's like they're all just like sort of like micro games and ways to like interact with the blockchain in some like very, very simple, limited capacity, or at least like a lot of the frames that I'm messing around with are. And I think it's like really fucking cool, honestly, man. I like find myself checking my phone and like pulling up these frames like a couple times a day. And like some of it is like just bullshit that has been reintroduced on the blockchain. Like I'm playing Words with Friends it's come all the way full circle, man. It's back to like 2005. I'm playing Words with Friends with Easy and Dragonate. But it's on chain somehow, maybe, I guess. I'm like, earning some sort of streak or some shit on Farcade. But it's fun, man. And it's cool. And I like that it's on Web3. And I'm not just talking about Farcade. There's a lot of like shit like that is not something that anyone's inherently like unfamiliar with. But it's finally got this fucking nuance where it's on chain somewhere, somehow, or going to be put there, or we're like actually scratching in that direction. And so I don't know, man. I feel like in the past month or so, I feel like Warpcast has really, for me personally, gotten like way more interesting. Even though my posts, like my engagement hasn't gone up, and I'm not really posting much more, but I'm actually spending more time on the app, just fucking around with little things than I am a lot of other places, honestly.
Yeah, we're starting to see like early signs of a frame explosion over there. Just like new little cool mini apps launching seemingly every day. Dude, I love the Yo frame. It's so stupid, but like,
right? I like the Yo frame too.
Yeah, it's a throwback to like the old Facebook poke, like when Facebook launched way back in the effing day. Dating ourselves right now, but it's just like it's cool. It's like throwing it out there. I'm getting poked back or yo'd at by Drago, Easy, you, the philosopher, some folks that like I have a looser relationship with over on the Purple app, but it's cool. It's like, yo,
right?
Like, I see you too. It's a fun little thing. The Yos are tokenized with that particular frame, which I'm waiting for more frames to really thoughtfully include tokens, like because you're on the Purple app, built-in wallets, all that. Like we need to see more of it. Farcade, hopefully those coins you're getting from the streaks and then winning like will turn into the token as they sort of, I think, promised early on. When that happens, damn, that's gonna be awesome. Like the bracket game, we're coming up to Selection Sunday for NCAA March Madness basketball fans, and like
I
they
need
got
to
their
check that
bracket
one out.
token. Yeah, I'm super excited for that. Like again, Purple app is sort of like a water cooler for crypto. At least this is how I'm starting to think of it,
It's getting
where
fun.
folks are milling around there. Maybe they pop into the main feed, chatting about things. Like then you go off into the different frames or whatever, right? And having a frame specifically for sports, focused on March Madness, kind of tuning in as you're maybe hopefully watching the game. Like it's cool. These are things to
It
get
is.
excited about that are explainable to normies. And then it's like, oh yeah, there's also this like token there, and maybe you win something, maybe you get money, maybe you don't, but probably you will. And people are like, oh shit, maybe I'll check that out. Like come for the money, stay for again the community or the frames or the apps or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's more of that popping up over there, which is it's good to see.
No, I think it's really cool, man. I really like the really simple micro experiments because I feel like that's like really where we onboard people with like the stupid shit like yo, man. I'm like bullish on yo. I don't even like fully understand it or like know what it does. I saw they took on like a decent amount of funding for like, just basically saying yo to people. But I'm like, this is like one of those things. I'm out here saying yo like a whole bunch of times. These are like one of these fun experiments. Maybe it does nothing. Takes me like 5 seconds a day. But like, shit, dude, you know how it goes out here. Maybe I end up with a bag of like 10K worth of yo or some shit. At the end of all of this, just because people are fucking around with the shit and people like to speculate on everything and stuff like that. It's like you said, man. Like this isn't. No one's reinventing the wheel with this concept, but adding that like little layer of blockchain onto a concept that people have already like basically proven out to enjoy. Like people just like fucking poking each other. Like okay, cool. Like so let's not make it really complicated by having to interact with like 10 smart contracts like and MetaMask. You just fucking poke.
Dude, exactly. It makes you feel the network like with something like it's so simple, but it's like oh shit, like DJ Lethal Skills yo'd me the other day.
He
And I'm
yo'd
like,
me.
brother, like it's been years. It's been years. Like we've come across one another like over on X. I think they popped into the whip once or twice, but it's like damn, like getting that it's like you're right there. Always been right there. It's a very cool feeling.
It is. Dude, there's been a couple times where I've yo'd at Brookhawk and he yo's me back like a minute afterwards, and it feels like a fist bump, like through
Exactly
through the internet.
100%.
So dumb. But fun, man. This is the type of shit we need, right? Like, there's a lot of fucking doom and gloom with the market, what it is, and a lot of people were cutting staff and their team like months ago as the price was not doing anything. So it's not great vibes out there beyond those of us who are still out here fucking having a good time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are like they kept hearing people talk about bull market, whatever, and what we saw is more like a castrated bull market. I'd probably say, like super limited upside for certain folks. Hopefully, folks were able to scrape some profits here or there. And no idea what's going to happen next. I don't like predict markets or anything like that, but saw another great post by Chris Berniski, crypto asset dude. And they're just like, don't focus on the price, just keep building. And that's the rub. And we try to remind ourselves of that like almost every
100%.
single week that we talk. So that's really what it is. Just focus on building, focus on the fun stuff, friends, and calling shit out and talking about it and spreading awareness. One of the things, like last brief Purple app related tangent that's been fascinating for me to sort of grok is a lot of the folks over in the Purple app, like, Base is where they jumped into crypto on. They don't really and have never really interacted with the mainnet, right? So any of the like the old NFTs or tokens over there, a lot of it just been like expensive for them or unapproachable, blah blah blah. So their viewpoint and perspective of the whole space is really different. Like they're
Yeah, it's
seeing all this
interesting.
new energy on Base. They see the relative lack of like transactions happening over on mainnet or whatever, and the conclusions they form are interesting. They're understandable, but it's also slightly depressing because they're seeing and they're only thinking about the activity, the on-chain transactions, things like this, not necessarily like the
Sure.
value of transactions or like the history, things like that, and how like history is portable, like it's always there, it's on chain. Like we don't need to always be on this hamster wheel sprinting for things. Like that's not the only way to create culture. You can have culture that's far chiller, for example, more valuable, blah, blah, there's different speeds, like
Yep.
a lot of different ways to chop it. And seeing those different perspectives is just more, it makes me realize how important it is for us to continue to talk and share and spread these stories and share different perspectives, because these perspectives expand how other people see the entire space writ large. Because we're not here just for one particular layer, one particular chain. Crypto as that movement open to everyone around the world is the opportunity. A lot of people, someone was talking about, hey, you got to think about chains as their own individual games. Like you play a game on mainnet, you get like a CryptoPunk, which is like a sword in World of Warcraft. You go to Base, maybe there's a lot of other different kinds of games, and the sword is not really interesting. And my immediate reaction to that take is like, yeah, that's cool to think of it as a game, but like the game is life, my brother.
Right.
And crypto makes everyone a participant in it for the first time, like on a couple clicks away basis. Doesn't matter what the fuck country you're in, how rich, poor, otherwise you are. Like, crypto brings you into the game of life. And it's up to you to find whatever infinite game you want to play with the homies on all the chains, ideally. That's how we kind of grow this digital world of ours. But anyway, it's just fascinating to interact with that and think through everything.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I don't think we've had like really an onboarding point like that's like a L2 like that. I mean, Solana is probably like the biggest comparison for it, but like, I mean, you open Warpcast, man, and like just sort of, I feel like it's a pretty good at this point, man. Catch all if you're trying to like show someone a bunch of like different things you could do with the blockchain that are like not approachable, but like, you know, for someone with like a certain level of knowledge, they can wrap their head around what's going on around here and the different things that are happening and the different options you could do as like a dev, like, you know, in this ecosystem. And it's, you know, it's obviously not limited to Base and Warpcast. All this shit started on mainnet first. But man, like compared to, you go over to some of these other chains, man, Solana and everything, you know, if we're getting into like sort of a builder's culture where, you know, there's not a lot of money flying around and, you know, people are getting back into build mode, man, the options on ETH, and that's why I keep coming back to this, man. And I'm not like, you know, trying to get into price speculation and all that shit. Although I am just bullish on ETH in the long run because there's nowhere else to go, man. And I feel like I've keep coming to that conclusion over multiple cycles. It's like, dude, if you're a builder out here and you're trying to do interesting shit, there's literally nowhere else to go. And everyone else is so behind the curve in establishing something that's literally anywhere near as interesting that I just don't see how like it continues to transcend all of these cycles as the default place for builders to build, because you're going to get fucking bored quick, like anywhere else. And you're not going to be able to innovate like you can on the Ethereum blockchain. And, you know, like it or not, it's just the reality that I keep coming back to, man. And if someone can point me elsewhere that's like anywhere near as fun and has a lot of options to like tinker around with, like that's my shit. But I just can't get out of this, like everything leads back to ETH because everything else just sucks so much more. Like that's basically where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, digital gold, there's a purpose over there.
Yeah, but I'm
Solana
sort of leaving Bitcoin out of the conversation here. Bitcoin's sort of a different animal, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, but I'm picking up what you're laying down. I come back to that all the time too. It's all the things are over here in the Ethereum ecosystem in large numbers. It depends on your perspective, how you view things and value things. I'm a long-term believer in the relative value and weight and impact that history has, especially on-chain history.
Yeah,
which that's really what Ethereum is growing out quickly and day by day, like new user by new user, wherever, what mainnet, any of the different layer twos around it, that's helping to grow that history, which helps power the culture, which has spillover effects for all the chains, in my personal opinion. That's how I see it, all playing sort of a complementary role. Even the shittiest layer one, whatever, everyone sort of benefits from this sort of culture history generation, which has been inspired by the granddaddy, like Bitcoin.
Yep.
This sort of like a loose framing that I have around all of that. But yeah, 1000%.
No, I agree. I'm here for it, man. We got a cool fucking whip coming up in a couple hours.
Yeah, for folks listening to this, like you'll definitely have missed the whip, but we had a great channel time with Lucio Paletti.
Subscribe and like to our YouTube channel for all of our recaps. No, go ahead, Zans.
Lucio, we had a great time at the whip. Lucio crushed. We had a bank runner run around Hyperfi. Who's the other guest we have coming on that you brought on, Rizzle?
Sorry, I want to get their Twitter handle right. Kato Raccoon, aka Burson, and they have a tree. I don't want to butcher the name of this either. I'm like looking at all the whip shit in real time here. They got an NFT project that basically is tied to planting trees, and it's cool, man. It's something. It's stuff we've like seen variations of before. But man, I came across them and they had this mint live, and they know Felix, and you know are sort of part of the clique here, and knew us and what we do, and it's just like it's refreshing to see people fucking shipping projects that are trying to do something positive out here at all, man. Just like a benefit from the space, and I'm like, dude, to me, I'm like, this is the opposite of like the horse thing, right? I'm like the horse thing like does nothing for us. And I'm like, even if this dude plants like 40 trees, I'm like, shit, at least like, you know, this is something that people can point towards and be like, hey, people are out here like, you know, with integrity, trying to do something, you know, good for people out here. So not saying, you know, not talking smack about the horse thing. It's just a great like counterpoint here. And dude, fucking Lucio Paletti's such a boss, man. He's been out here for like so long, and I really like lump him into the same category as Jin, as one of these people who has just stuck to their ethos and their mantra and like never really wavered from jump, man. And he's been out here from jump. And you know Lucio Paletti, man, you know what this motherfucker stands for. And it's really like some early crypto ethos shit that has sort of gotten like washed away. You know, it's gotten, you know, gentrified and is not really on people's radar. Like I would be very interested to know what percentage of all these people getting onboarded through Base really know like what type of culture and shit Lucio Paletti's even getting at with his art, man. But you know, I know you helped with this project, curate this project on Build Tree. Shout out to Leandro and them over there. But it was one of the first NFTs that I bought in a long time, man, just because I really fucking wanted that piece of art in my wallet. And I'm a huge fan of Lucho Paletti, man, and people fucking sticking with the original shit here.
Amen. Shout out to Lucho and everyone that sort of embodies that sort of ethos to focus on what they're passionate about over and over, keep shaving off bits of themselves into the ether for other folks that resonate with their beliefs, with their art that they can take a piece of. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
It is, man. In the meantime, I see Easy in the audience. I think it's turn in Web3 words with friends, and I hope we make some fucking dumb shit coin on this shit, because that's the other side of the space we're in right now, which I also like. So, yeah, it's good shit, dude.
Yeah, shout out Easy, shout out Dragonate's mom, Paradox. We'll see y'all in a couple minutes, technically, over at the whip. But dude, awesome episode. We can wrap it up here, and we'll jump in the metaverse, and then we'll see everyone listening in next week.
Good shit, man. See you in a little bit.
Later, dude. Yes, there we go. Success. All right, later, everyone. See y'all shortly at the whip.